I do want to defend the nipples for a second because I want to circle back to this one because I actually haven't, I've been trying to say this part, which is that, I get it.
Welcome to Certain Point of View's Another Pass podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. Just go to certainpov.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Another Pass podcast. I'm Case Aiken, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Sam Alisea.
Hi.
And today we have a wonderful guest who's way more professional than either of us. We have my friend Jacey Heldrich.
Hello. Yay.
Jacey, you and I go back a long-ass time.
Way back.
So we went to college together.
We met in 2004.
2004. Yeah, that's wow. so long ago.
Yeah.
The person, since we've met, could vote.
Wow. You're right.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
I want to say to the listeners, I wish you could see their faces and see them register what that time means.
Yeah.
like them do the math as he said it. But go on.
Also, we were such nascent nerds back then, and we've really grown into our nerdiness in very impressive ways, I think.
Yeah. No, well, that's true. I remember one time you were really starting to get into comics, and you had me go or show you around Midtown Comics in New York and pick out books.
When I was working that's right, because when I was in film school, I was making I made a short film about a comic book shop, and Case really helped me kind of understand that world and what it's like there. That's right. That was good.
Yeah. Because after college, as with most people from Colgate, we ended up moving into New York and doing theater stuff.
Yeah.
After you saw the first Just Ask production, you wanted to be involved in the following ones. So yeah, for a solid year, maybe year and a half, we actually were doing off Broadway theater stuff, which
we did stuff.
Was a lot of fun. And then you continued to have a successful career in the arts, and I switched to spirits. I don't know.
Which the more time I spend in this business, the more I realize that those two businesses are massively intertwined.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dionysus is the god of wine and theater.
Exactly.
So it makes perfect sense.
This was a natural route for you. It was 1,000% natural. Perfect transition.
Really. Nothing has ever, honestly, the more I get to know, stories of, how my favorite things got made or how people, it generally involves spirits. In the way that people in terms of making and writing, and there was especially in the 90s. Now it's much more pot, I think, but alcohol and cocaine, truly. And speaking of the movie we are about to talk about, there was probably a lot of that involved.
Oh, yeah. We should actually say what we're talking about for listeners who didn't look at the title of this before it came on. So today we are doing an episode that is going to be a tie-in to a network-wide event, which we are calling Dark Knight Fortnite. It is in preparation for Batman, or rather, The Batman coming out at the beginning of March. So we're all talking about Batman stuff. And what better to talk about on Another Pass than the most infamous Batman movie, Batman and Robin.
The Batman movie that tanked the franchise.
Sort of.
For a little while.
And looking back, it was 8 years, which in certain schemes, not that crazy of a gap there. But on the other hand, it's but it was 8 years. A lot of people said, oh, it killed comic book movies. But the following year is when Blade came out, and that started the Marvel ascendancy. So,
oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. When looked on macro, it does not feel like anything more than just kind of a blip of bad ratings. But at the time, it felt like this was the death of comic book movies.
I mean, all those wonderful puns. How could it not be?
So let's talk about this movie, because it's all right. I rewatched it last night. Behind the scenes, we were supposed to record this a little while ago, and I'd rewatched it then, and I was kind of negative. And then last night I'm watching it, I'm I'm back in. I
feel like this is one of those movies where that could really happen. Depending on your mood, depending on which scenes you're actually paying attention to, depending on what's going on around you.
Are you drunk or high? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You could be back in, you could be back out. I mean,
take some spirits.
Honestly, it's a colorful film. I don't mind color. I actually feel that some of our newer Batmans are too dark. The palette is a little too brownish gray for me, or grayish gray, or black and gray, or just gray. Honestly, there's not a lot of color happening in Batman universe. So I appreciate the color in this film. But there are ridiculous things, like Vivica Fox is in it, and she's wearing nothing in Mr. Freeze's room. But she's totally warm, but she's not a Freeze. What? Why? I don't know, but that's a thing in this movie because Mr. Freeze has to be sexual because Schwarzenegger. I don't know what this movie is, basically. I don't know. It is a mess. But then again, also Poison Ivy has some of the best lines ever in the beginning of the film, especially.
Oh my God. She plays about 20 minutes into this movie. Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy delivers the most succinct defense for like climate change action.
Yes, absolutely.
that we really needed to be taking in 1997. That part really holds up beautifully.
Yeah. I saw this meme a while back when like the Harley Quinn TV show came out that Poison Ivy is the one character who has gone from being like legitimate villain to now like anti-hero without actually changing in any way whatsoever. Just our understanding of how terrible man is to the environment has gotten more and more evolved. Like,
yeah.
Like watching this whole movie, I kept on being like, she's right? Like, that's and also Mr. Freeze is also not like entirely wrong. Like there's like, we'll talk about the villains in general, but like
the villains are so fascinating because I forgot because so the reason I wanted to talk about this movie is because I was looking at the list of films you guys wanted to get to and it jumped out at me because this movie for me is like extremely iconic and I had such vivid memories of certain visuals in this thing of like Alicia Silverstone being introduced as Alfred's niece and Chris O'Donnell coming out and she's like trying to ring the doorbell and he comes out and he goes, "Please be for me." And I remember the trailer. I remember seeing that and 11-year-old me being like, "Whoa, Chris O'Donnell." And like Uma Thurman emerging as Poison Ivy, coming out of the big teddy bear. Like there's so many like iconic visuals of like awesome ass ladies in this movie that really stuck with me in more so than like well, I guess that's not true. The Burton movies also had similar things, but going back, like those things still really resonated with me. And one of the things that really I was surprised by is the introduction to Mr. Freeze. I'd forgotten it's like this, like he's just all of a sudden there. It was like this like very old kind of way of introducing villains that we don't see in superhero movies anymore, which is like totally disconnected from Batman completely. He's just the villain of the movie. And it's like, Batman, come stop this guy who's freezing people. And that's how they come together. But I remember Dr. Freeze's story being so emotional. And I think that holds up with his wife is in that beautiful glass case. And I remember being very moved by it. And I still was very moved by it. So there are certain things that I do think worked really well and still hold up. I mean, I don't know holding up is the right word because even back then it wasn't considered good, but and that worked for me, you know?
I think hold better now, frankly.
Yeah. There's definitely some really good things in this film. There are some really wildly inappropriate things in this film, and there are some things that are just terrible. But that's what makes it perfect for this podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like I have a one sentence sum up of like all the problems I have with this movie, which is just read the room. Like this movie came out at the exact wrong time with like trying to put out the exact wrong vibe for what audiences wanted. And probably some tech stuff too, because like some of the freeze effects are not particularly good, and the sky surfing bits like don't look that great. But like, like at the same time, like it is a lot of fun. And like looking back at it, like the thing that really got me last night was every single scene. I kept thinking like, well, if this was in Batman 66, how would I respond to that? Like the Adam West Batman series.
Yeah.
And every single time I was like, I'd fucking love it. Like it would have been great.
I'm sorry, Mr. Freeze's goons, like basically being a hockey team. Like that's basically what they were. And honestly, that's hilarious. And I think my main flaw and my only pitch is that they didn't go far enough. Like they should have gone off the deep end. Like I feel like they wanted to like infuse some of that stuff and they wanted it to be like, oh, we're kind of fun, but we're kind of still serious. And I feel like they just didn't do serious well. And I think they should have just gone for kooky. They should have gone all the way or pulled back.
Yeah, like I think the biggest thing with this movie is that it's the fourth movie in a franchise where the first one was known for being like, we're going to, oh my God, look how edgy and adult this Batman is. Like, it's not Batman 66. And then by the time you get to this movie, it is Batman 66. Like,
yeah.
George Clooney is doing a very good Adam West type Bruce Wayne. Like, he's very comfortable with himself. The only thing that he has like real drama with is that he's a control freak and that he has a beard that he does not give enough love to. Like, he's so
come on, Clooney.
So like that vibe is great, but it also is just not what the franchise started with. And so people who had like glommed on to the Tim Burton stuff gets to this point and they're like, oh no, this is everything that we said. Look how cool Batman is in relation to, like, this is the in relation to stuff now. And I think that's where it kind of didn't work for audiences who were coming as fans of that. It didn't really fit the very like Gen X vibe that like I think a lot of nerd culture was really going for. Like, this is the year before Blade. This is 2 years before The Matrix. You know, like that whole kind of timing of things. Like, people wanted cool guys and like leather suits like that. You know, like, look at how the X-Men movie looked in 2000. Again, like only 3 years later. You know, like, I think that this movie is doing a thing that would have been taken way better now than it was at that exact window. Which is kind of a bummer.
I think that's so interesting, Case, and that's exactly what that's the Batman 66 thing I was thinking about so much because you know, this movie was such an entry point for me for Batman and the world of Batman because, you know, I'd seen Keaton, I'd seen Val Kilmer. I was a very young girl when those movies came out and I, you know, appreciate it. Like, I liked them. They were cool stuff, but they were very scary and very dark and very adult. And at the same, what you're saying of how this movie shifted tones in such a radical way, and obviously not successful, but what it did tap into was a very specific kind of like 90s girl aesthetic that I was like, oh my God, wow, which is like, this is 97 is like, it's Buffy, it's Britney Spears, it's Spice Girls, and Uma Thurman and Alicia Silverstone, who's 2 years off of Clueless. This is like her first big studio movie since Clueless. And like, you know, she's an icon at this point. And to kind of put her into this, like, yeah, Buffy comes out the same year. And she's very much kind of in that like girl power, I can be cool vibe that was very affecting for me to see and gave me an entry point into the Batman universe that I didn't have before. And even subsequently, like kind of watching the Nolan movies come out and the Batfleck movies come out and now the Batman, like for me, this movie still kind of rings a little bit special because it's a way of enjoying the Batman universe that is much more in the Adam West, vibe, which I think is, you know, and it's a totally different way of enjoying Batman, but I think a very valid one and a very fun one. So it's something I kind of could carry with me of like, oh, like, even if in these like very, grounded, serious versions of Batman, I can still I can get into that because there is this like more kind of fun world happening, at the same time. So that to me, like, while it was so wrong for like the Batman fandom, it did have this like little pocket of like new viewers I thought that it welcomed into that world.
Yeah. And I think that some of those things would have been taken better if there wasn't so much going on in this movie. Like, yeah. there's a lot. Like, you know, it for one thing, it has 3 fairly big villains in terms of like Batman fandom. Like, Mr. Freeze is pretty big, and in fact had just had a huge surge in popularity thanks to the animated series, where they completely redefined his origin. Like, the whole dead wife, or not dead wife, but like the whole frozen wife thing comes from Heart of Ice. Like, that's all 90s innovations on the character. Right. Poison Ivy's huge and never got a 66 adaptation. Like, we never had an actress play her before in a thing. And like, this is awesome in that regard. And then Bane, like, this is right after Nightfall, the whole Bane breaks Batman's back kind of story arc. You know, it's right in it. And honestly, like, a lot of fans really did not care for the fact that they took what was supposed to be like, no, look at this serious villain. He's so smart. He outsmarted Batman. And then they turned him into like a Hulk.
I remember that. And it actually still bothered. So when I was rewatching this, it actually still bothered me. Like, the Bane line still bothered me, only because he becomes basically he's basically a henchman. He's a very strong henchman for Ivy. And it's like, you know, if you're gonna include like 3 supervillains, then let them all be supervillains and, or just leave one out. Like, it could have been any strong guy that was there in there, but clearly it was because Bane was, he had some popularity at the time and they wanted to include him to be like, oh, look what we got. And yeah, I think that actually probably out of anything while I was growing up, that was the criticism I heard the most of the movie. But look at what they did to Bane. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Well, and then this is also, again, you mentioned that we get Batgirl in this movie. We have a whole plot about Alfred dying from a disease that only at the very end actually ties into any of the A plots of this movie. Like, there's so much going on.
There's so, it's so, the problem very much is just on it starts very much on a craft level, and the team of people that made this are not, they're still making things like this. But it's very much, you're totally right. It's like everything kind of just on a very basic craft level, from like character introductions and motivations and clarifying story is very all over the place, and very, it is, just even the way I was saying that I forgot that the way Freeze was introduced was just like this random thing. Like, you would not do that today. You would not kind of you would not drop characters, and you would really try and build like the emotional story first, so that there's some understanding of what that dynamic is. So it's not just like madcap, wow, pow. But yeah, that's fundamentally, it's just, the structure of the movie, there's nothing to hang. It doesn't hang together. It's just a bunch of stories that kind of keep coming in and switching out.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on, but how does it tie together? Maybe we'll never know. And then at the end, they're like, yeah, here you go, a bow. It's perfect. You're welcome.
I kept thinking that the movie, like, if you broke it up and did like a 10 episode series, it could be really fun, because you could pull all those stories over 10 hours would be a fun way to do it too.
Yeah. But yeah, like lots of great set pieces in this whole movie. Like jumping off the giant statue's hand at one point is a really cool sequence. Even the musical number where they're all in monkey costumes, aside from the very uncomfortable, like, tribal dance part of it, which made me very uncomfortable on every watch I've done for this.
And the sexy bear, like the bear is sexy. I know that's like,
they're like gorillas. They like come in as like apes.
Oh, the gorillas. Sorry, yes. But she's like doing her shimmy out of her
right.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, why does everyone become transfixed on it when it's still in full ape suit? Like,
I don't know.
Like, everyone's like, ooh.
Everyone's like, ooh, get me some of that. Planet of the Apes. Oh, yeah, come be my overlord. Took it to a weird place. I'm sorry.
But I do think, like, I have to say, Uma Thurman is not bad in this movie. Like, she's really, like, did you guys think this too? I was watching this, I was like, is this entire movie 80-yard? Did you guys notice that? So much of the movie, so much of Uma Thurman's dialogue felt totally 80-yard.
I didn't for this one.
Okay. But I just thought, like, she's really, like, in, like, the playing I feel like one of the hardest things to get right in the Batman universe are the female characters. Like, people are very hard on them. People are very hard on portrayals of Catwoman. People are very hard on portrayals of Harley Quinn. I mean, there's like 2 portrayals of Harley Quinn, but you know what I mean? Like, there's not like there's kind of, there aren't as many female characters in the Batman universe as there are in like the MCU, at least not that have been kind of elevated out of just the comics. And I thought she really, like, it's very over the top, but she's like the one that feels like she really lives in the world of this movie. You know what I mean? Like, she really matches the tone kind of across the board in a way that, Arnold Schwarzenegger's like way too big and George Clooney's like way too small, but like Uma Thurman has like somehow found this like weird alchemy where you just love watching everything she's doing. So I think she did Poison Ivy proud. I really do.
Yeah, she's the balanced middle of like where the camp should be to be based in reality, because she's definitely in the campier part of the Batman universe, right? Like this Poison Ivy. But it's not as over the top as Schwarzenegger, and it's partially because Schwarzenegger just loves his one-liners and feels like he needs to get them in. And like, because honestly, there are moments where like he's not bad. Like he has emotional moments that, you know, seeing his wife kind of coming to terms. Some of the scenes that he does with Clooney, they're fine. Some of the scenes with Poison Ivy, they're fine. But he needs, especially in the back, he needs to get his one-liners in. And they're always these puns, and they're always like kind of terrible. Like they're not even good dad jokes. They're just really bad puns.
Oh, they're very bad.
They're really bad. And so it's just like he kind of kills it. He kind of kills some of the magic. If he had just pulled some of those back, just kill some of those babies, just cross out a couple of lines, you know, maybe nodded a few times.
Yeah, I think this is where our spirits came into play.
Yeah.
I don't think like everyone was like very spirited and like, yeah, they're like, yeah, absolutely, like this makes perfect sense in terms of how big this is.
I mean, why wouldn't you say that? That guy, I've got that guy with a hockey puck. You say whatever you want. Yeah, that's right. Freeze him, baby. I love it.
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. We know he's both giant and funny. Like,
exactly.
We can make this work. But I fully agree about Poison Ivy. I think that her campy tone is pretty perfect for this. Like all the scene here, especially because of like the one thing on this rewatch that I really took away was that like I rather like the way they incorporate all of the sort of like weird Venom stuff. Like I actually rather like how they combine Bane into Poison Ivy's origin, and I like that they're like, we haven't talked to, or, like, people don't really talk about this character in it, but like John Glover is in this movie as Professor Woodrue, who is a DC supervillain, and I always love it when you can sneak in without it being like a barrier to entry, like a nerd call out for people. Like if it's fun for those who know but doesn't actually interfere with people who don't, that's great. And I like
I didn't know that, and it didn't, so that's
he's the Floronic Man. He is another like plant-themed supervillain.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not know that.
Like he's such a minor character. People only really know him from one issue of Swamp Thing that Alan Moore wrote where he like dissects Swamp Thing and it's like, oh, you were never a human. You were always a plant that just pretended to be a human.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And he's also like a plant man. And like, you know, again, like tying all these elements together, like I thought that the set piece of this like weird South American like biolab looked like appropriately like B-movie camp in like really fun ways. I think that combining it all with like all this research and so forth was really fun. John Glover I just love in general. Like talk about a DC all-star. Like at this point he had already voiced the Riddler on the animated series. He's in this movie. He would go on to be Lionel Luthor on Smallville.
That's right. Yeah.
He's done like other things since then, like as voices. Like he's just like a giant nerd property character like as an actor. I don't know how much he actually likes it, but he must, right? Like he just keeps doing DC stuff and he's so fun in this role. Like very over the top crazy scientist with the ununited nations.
Also, yes, and George Clooney, one of George Clooney's like only good lines in the movie. I can't remember.
Although that felt very much like a line being like, oh yeah, we cut our ties with this business that creating like super drugs right there. But that whole thing I thought worked really well. Like this big goofy like I'm going to pour venom into the back of his brain, and he's got this like big skull and crossbones kind of like empty basin that he's pouring into like a funnel. Like it like that was such like that by itself. It like unconnected to the Batman franchise as a whole feels like such like Reanimator or like a Trauma movie or you know like or something like Peter Jackson would have done before he did Lord of the Rings. Like perfect for that kind of vibe, and is just a lot of fun in that area. Works as far as creating an origin for Poison Ivy. Although the problem I have with both of the main villains in this, why are they villains?
Oh yeah.
No, they're not.
You're totally right.
Like she's like, you're committing war crimes. I need to stop you. And he's like, I won't have that. And he like kills her. And then she is revived by the poisons or whatever the process is there. And then all of a sudden she's a supervillain.
You're totally right. And Freeze is kind of the same way because they introduce him kind of as already a supervillain. It doesn't feel tied to trying to heal his wife in the way that it does in the Batman. Like that's the Batman animated series episode with him.
Heart of Ice.
Yeah.
Yes, he becomes a supervillain in order to get the item that he needs to heal, to save his wife, right? That's, yes. Yeah. Which is a fantastic, one of the best episodes of the series. Absolutely. But in this one, he seems to be just enjoying freezing Chris O'Donnell for no reason. At the opening, that's how we introduce him, is he's just zapping, and it does eventually tie into his mission.
So the thing his wife is dying from is that she has McGregor syndrome, which is the same thing that Alfred has, but Alfred has like an earlier state of it. So he's dying, but not as advanced. And he figured out the cure that would work for like first stage McGregor syndrome, but not second stage, which is what she has. And like the whole thing is like, it's the way they tie it all together at the end. And it's like I think it's like the diamonds are quote unquote power his cold tech.
It's very telling that none of us can really just sum up exactly the this is the whole villain plot of the movie, and we're like, well, I think.
Well, that's the thing with Mr. Freeze. So like Mr. Freeze was actually created for the Batman 66 show. There is a base character from the comics called Mr. Zero that he is based on. You know, they just adapted him slightly, and because Batman 66 was really popular, people were like, oh, this character got ported back over to the comics, but he was just kind of a cackling supervillain. He's really similar to a Flash villain called Captain Cold that really only because Batman 66 was so popular and the name is a little bit better. Mr. Freeze is a cooler name. Sort of like eclipsed the popularity, but never really like marked out like his own like niche until we get to Batman the Animated Series. And that's where we create this much more complex origin for the character with like pathos and like this whole like, oh, my heart is like, I have no emotions. I become a complete stoic in the wake of all this thing. I'm cold-blooded type stuff. And that's all really cool stuff that they then take whole cloth and put in this movie, but then they give them the characterization from the Batman 66 show where he was just a cackling supervillain. And like, that's where it like butts against each other.
Oh, that's
and
so interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't quite gel, and they don't like do anything to like bridge the gap. Like he keeps on being like, I have no emotion. Like,
yeah, it is very jarring. And I think also you have to remember that a lot of the people who went to see this, like originally, their reintroduction of Mr. Freeze is going to be the animated series. So they were used to like this more like grounded, quiet, silent, frozen, intelligent scientist who wasn't a pun-making, joke-making machine. Let's pretend he's funny. Yeah, he wasn't a stand-up comedian on the side who liked to steal diamonds and freeze people. Like, and so like that's definitely like a big detractor, or one of the biggest reasons why, you know, there was criticism lobbied at. I mean, I remember one of my friends actually telling me that like Arnold Schwarzenegger just ruined the movie for him. Ruined it. He ruined Batman. And he was like really serious and he was really upset. Like seriously, like serious emotional damage done to that young man because of Arnold Schwarzenegger and his portrayal of Freeze.
That's some real George Lucas ruined my childhood vibes right there.
Oh yeah. He was very, very upset. It was a very strong thing, and he went into a 2-hour shouting like lecture about why Arnold Schwarzenegger should never be allowed in a comic book movie again.
This is so interesting. In case you probably know more about this than I do, but like, so, you know, one thing we can talk about vis-a-vis Batman and Robin is the like toyification of the Batman property, right? Like the entire, like my understanding is that a huge driver behind this movie, as want to do in the 90s, was to sell toys. Yeah. And so what's so interesting about what you're saying in terms of Mr. Freeze is like so what I know about the Batman animated series is that it was, it's effectively a miracle that show exists. Like it was a group of animation writers and artists who wanted to do something more elevated, and nobody at the time felt it was Saturday morning cartoons at the time. And with if it hadn't been for this like one female executive, the show probably wouldn't have gotten made, because they were trying to do this like adultification of these Saturday morning cartoons, and obviously wildly successful in the wake of that, of this very, very sophisticated thing where we do all these things. So what's interesting about the characterization of Mr. Freeze being solidified in that kind of environment, that's like basically like the opposite of this, which is like they didn't think that was going to be successful, and that gave them a lot of creative freedom to deepen these characters. And then when you put that on top of like, okay, how do we sell Mr. Freeze as a Happy Meal toy? And we make him this, it's really interesting to watch all of the heart of that character kind of get, drained out in lieu of this commercial desire, which is a very kind of interesting way to look at the different iterations of Freeze.
Yeah. Looking back at Batman Returns, there was a big issue with that movie where they couldn't sell the toy for the Penguin because the design in the movie,
he was so scary.
Exactly. And so what they pushed was actually an updated version of the 66 look, like of his like classic comic look. So that was the toys they were selling as part of like the Batman Returns set, even though it didn't look anything.
Yeah, we actually have one at my house, and he's still kind of scary.
but at least, it's like, oh, as opposed to like, I'm going to eat your fish.
Not black blood seeping out of his nose as penguins carry him off to his watery grave.
Yeah.
Sorry, that stuck with me. It still has. Don't like it.
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, like, Batman Returns has some scarring images.
Absolutely. It's great.
But that was a big hit for them in terms of, like, the toy sales. Because, I was 5 when the first Batman came out, and I remember how fucking crazy the toy sales were for it. Like, there were so many action figures. They're like, here's the Batcave, here's all the playsets, here's different suits. They were, like, really getting in. Batman being a gadget guy, he can have, like, different kind of things going on in all of his appearances. So you get to Batman Returns, and there's all of a sudden a dip as a result that they can't, like, really sell the toys. And then I'm wondering if, like, the animated series, which is kind of sort of a spin-off of Batman Returns. Like the Catwoman design is based on that. Like the time it came out like the following summer or something like that. Like I'm wondering where these kind of drivers for like the the merchandising side of things went. And then because Batman Forever, relatively merchandisable, like everything like looks fine, and we introduce a new hero to like sell toys for, and then you get you can have a terrible video game that has weird digitized actors doing like Mortal Kombat stuff, but it's real bad.
Yeah.
You can have a Seal crossover and like all that stuff. This one, like I'm thinking like, yeah, they probably did want to like have more kind of toy components that we can work with here, and like have characters look like action figures. And Arnold Schwarzenegger looks like an action figure. And I gotta say, I don't mind the look of Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie.
No, he looks
the suit is fucking dope.
His look is amazing. His suit's amazing. Like even when he's like not in the suit, he looks pretty cool. Like the makeup that they used is so iridescent that he looks like a diamond. Like he kind of has a shimmer and a shine to him. So like it really sells that like cold. Actually, like costume design in general in this was fine. Well, except for maybe the bat nipples. But we have not talked about the bat nipples.
Well, you said it.
I just because I like mentioned it and I was like, wait, we haven't actually talked about it.
We haven't. I've been holding off on that one.
I'm sorry.
Listen, girls, ladies, like I appreciate it because it's just as nonsensical as like the grooves on a lady's breastplate that give their direct line to stab them in the heart.
I don't say it's necessarily a bad thing, but we haven't talked about how it was a big thing talked about.
It was, and poor George Clooney just. Apparently, George Clooney like has said that he cannot watch himself in this movie because he's just too embarrassed, which I understand.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
it was a hit for his career because he was trying to make the jump from TV because he was doing ER at the time to being a big like film actor, and like. This slowed him down by probably a year or two.
And still is hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what was interesting about that to me, and this is a total non sequitur, but like do you remember? So the thing that's interesting about oh my gosh, what is the second Batman Forever? No, Batman Returns. That's so interesting is and it's similar to this. Like if you ostensibly think of this as the second movie, right? Batman and Robin. That in the second Burton film, also they very much pivoted away from like a very kind of like only Batman driven movie. Like if you look at I'm just going to look up the night because I'm going to get all the titles confused. But if you look at 1989 Batman, like it's a very character driven movie. Like we're kind of with Keaton's Batman like the whole time. Mm-hmm. And then when you move to Batman Returns, the world gets much more sprawling. Like we're following the villains. Like we have all like not so similar to this. So what's interesting about this to me is like Batman Forever, if I haven't seen it in a while, but if memory serves, it is also kind of like much more with Val Kilmer Batman in that movie. And then once we get here, it's again, the sequel is much more sprawling, much more, we're in lots and lots of different perspectives. Which is just, I just thought that was a very kind of interesting, thing that happened, which is like, to me, it speaks to the toyification of like, we want to sell more than just Batman toys. We want to sell Ivy toys. We want to sell Freeze toys. We want to sell Bane toys. And the 90s, if you guys remember, like every movie had a Happy Meal, and maybe they're still doing this, but like it was like the Happy Meal tie-ins and like the Beanie Babies. Like it was such a big thing to have like any kind of product tie-ins to sell. And it really feels like this movie is like kind of buried under the weight of that in a big way.
Yeah, I still have some of like the cups that they would have at was it McDonald's?
I feel like
probably McDonald's.
Burger King.
I think Burger King
Yeah.
did a lot more of the cups. Like they did, because I know they did like a whole Lord of the Rings cup set kind of thing. They did a bunch of cups for different movies. It's their big thing.
Yeah, when I was unpacking, when I moved into this house a couple of years ago, I came across, I still have the glass coffee mug that is Riddler themed that they put out, where it's like the
question mark. I still have that too.
Yeah, the question mark around
I have that.
the bat symbol.
I was like, really, I was waiting. I was like, which one does he have? I have that too. I also have all the Lord of the Rings one. And they actually also have this like light up ring that you can put on the bottom and turn it on so the whole goblet shines. Sorry. That has nothing to do with this.
No, but it is the point that like these movies are only one part of a larger marketing machine. Like music tie-ins, music videos that are coming along with it, video game tie-ins, again, toys. Like this was a big boom for toy companies in general. Like there was a lot going on with like was it Toy Biz bought Marvel and then went bankrupt, and like that was all going on, and that's sort of why they started like piecemealing out their properties. Like I mean, you know, tons of stuff is going on behind the scenes because this is still before the internet, and so there's like the way that like we had almost like worked out like how we're going to merchandise stuff to a fine like a fine edge, and then the internet kind of broke it all because all of a sudden you could like gain access to things from all over the planet. You
Yeah,
totally.
collect things the same way, and like media is digital. Like,
yeah,
we're only a couple of years before that.
I mean,
yeah, we're really it's so interesting. We're 97. We're like right before fandom on the internet, like right before, which is really interesting.
Yeah, these are the movies that had like actual soundtracks that were released that weren't even movies that were in,
That's right.
in the film. Like
the Smashing Pumpkins closer, the end is the beginning is the end. Like that's one of my favorite Smashing Pumpkins songs. And I was like, wait, I know this song. Like when the credits started rolling on the first time I rewatched it, I was like, wait, I know this song. What the fuck? What the fuck is going on here?
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure that like Seal's song "Kiss from a Rose on the Grave" was like attached to a Batman film.
That was Batman Forever.
Yeah, and that video, which had Batman's like spliced footage in there, was his big break. Like that is what these movies used to do. There was a lot of like multi-promotional, like different ways, because they would basically promote it to you in every single way, right? So they would like have a bunch of soundtrack songs and they would do that, and then that song would go on MTV, which, you know, barely doesn't exist anymore, and no matter what people say, and they would be like, oh, this song's so good, and there's clips from that movie that maybe I want to go see. And there's an ad for a Happy Meal toy.
Oh my God, do you remember the one they did with Jerry Maguire? Do you guys remember this?
No.
They did, oh God, what's the Secret Garden Jerry Maguire song? That they released, oh gosh, who sings it? Hold on. So the song for this was called Secret Garden. I'm looking it up, my internet's being weird for whatever. But basically they released a radio edit. Yes, it was Bruce Springsteen. So they released a radio, you guys remember this? They released a radio edit of this song with, like, it was like a fucking fan YouTube video where they would cut in dialogue into the song. So you would have Bruce Springsteen being, it was a secret garden. And then you get Renee Zellweger's voice just being like, you had me at hello.
Oh my God.
And then it would go back into the song and it played on the radio like all the time. And it was like actually like really effective because you would just be like, yeah, you go with him. You go with Jerry. It's funny.
I'm assuming there's some Show Me the Money in there. And
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And then I will go with you. Like all that stuff it's so funny. So like it really was a very like unique time in movie marketing. But actually, can I ask you guys a question just because I'm curious? Like in terms of the line from Batman and Robin to the Batman that's about to come out. So I think what I was really struck by when I was rewatching it, again, like I said, was kind of the the way that it is accessible to a lot of non-Batman fans. And I feel like what DCU is doing now with the Batman is marketing directly towards the Batman fan base, which has been proven to be like very, robust and large enough to make a movie successful in and of itself. But I feel like the marketing for the Batman is not trying to pull in any new viewers. And I feel like this movie it was trying to kind of appeal to people who are not Batman fans. And now the Batman, with this kind of year one story and the kind of the marketing behind it, it feels very much like it's being marketed directly to the people who are already have a relationship with these properties. Is that something you guys have noticed, or is that just my own weird?
I think that makes sense. I mean, this is so much earlier in terms of like comic book movies being a big thing and like these properties being so huge. I think that it makes sense that earlier movies would be more about like trying to get a lot of people in, Batman Forever in particular, like the name kind of is this vibe of like where the franchise can keep going. Like it's not a one-off story about vengeance. It's, Batman's going to be a hero going on. And this movie is like, all right, yeah. And the team keeps growing and it's getting bigger. And like the bat wave is is rising. But then I would say that, for example, Batman Begins works as a movie because everyone already knows who Batman is. Like it isn't a movie that you would lead a new franchise with unless everyone knows who the property is. And that's why like movies that were ripping off all the conventions of like, we're going to do X character begins kind of stories.
Yeah.
Didn't really work because like you kind of need to know like where you're going to get to. Like I think that the first Batman movie worked really well as being like, yep, we're going to jump in and everyone's scared of this guy called Batman. And like, we'll have to like reveal it all. And like, by now that we're getting to the Batman, yeah, a lot of like everyone fucking knows who he is.
Yeah.
So I think that it's fair. I think it's fair to say like that movie is not trying to target new people and bring more people in, because this is one of those movies where they tried to do that. Like they tried to have it be family friendly. They really wanted it to be a thing that could appeal to all audiences. Like, but by now they know that backlash occurs if you deviate too much. Like more than anything now, I think Batman fandom is built around Batman being quote unquote cool. Like all the Batman video games are like, look how cool you are being Batman.
Yeah. But I also think I just totally on an even deeper level, I think like the kind of the dark power fantasy, but also this like thing that I think really resonates with especially male viewers, which is like I have this protective instinct in me and I really want to use it. And that to me is at the core of why this character is so enduring and so relatable for so many people. And I think they've really, really honed in on that like productive darkness, for sure. But they're not casting Alicia Silverstone as Catwoman. They're casting Zoe Kravitz, who is an awesome, cool, super cool choice, but isn't like a popular young actress that is going to bring in a fandom of like young women to the movie. You know what I mean? And then, and the Batman's rated PG-13, right? Did that come out? I can't remember. I feel like it just came out that it was rated PG-13 and people were like upset about it.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right.
So actually, I think you're right, because I remember I was laughing at Twitter because Twitter was divided. Like some people were mad that they didn't have a rated R and some people were mad that it was rated PG-13 for totally different reasons. And I was like, yeah, this sums up 2022. Some people was like, no, like someone was joking about it. Like, no, I can't believe it's not rated R. I wanted to see full frontal Batman. And I was like, oh God.
I mean, we got that in this movie.
I would like to. Yeah, we did. Man, that.
They did. It lingered. It really did linger, though. The shot lingered there.
But, if you want to look at it from a feminist point of view, which, I think all Batman fans love feminist critiques of Batman, right?
Yes, that is number one up there for
That's
them.
like their number one favorite thing.
Yeah, 100%. Never any feminist controversy.
There are just extraordinarily no incels that are fans of the Batman.
But I do like it, it is a it was a choice to sexualize the costume in a way that female superhero costumes. Anyway, that is mostly just me trying to make that joke that I just made.
I mean, no, it's fine. Honestly, I think the buttocks are funnier than the nipples.
The nipple. I agree completely.
Like, only because, like, I'm like, that would be really uncomfortable. Like, honestly, like, more uncomfortable. Like, I used to do martial arts, so I've worn breastplates to protect my chest, and I've worn plastic over, like, and no, they were not indented perfectly, but I've worn stuff there that's like hard. But I could not imagine having to kick someone if I actually had like a plastic or hard rubber ass. I'm going to be very honest with you, that is not flexible enough. And cups make sense. They have to be there. Trust me, I've seen grown men drop and still getting kicked in a cup. So they have to be there. So that was fine. But the rubber buttocks, hilarious to me.
Yeah, apparently quite uncomfortable for the actors, too.
All I could think of watching that sequence is, like that one of Nolan's big inventions for the series was like the cowl that can move, like the neck that
The invention, the ability to turn your head. Yes.
The ability to turn your head. And as I was just watching, thinking about that, and I was like, wow, like I really, one thing I just love about modern superhero movies, I really do love the utilitarian costumes. Like I love when they find ways of like making the suits feel like they make sense. So that was very funny to kind of look back on, being like, this is just totally impractical on every level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, recently I've been working on a Batman fan film that will be dropping at about the same time this episode drops. It's called The Oath, and it's a Batman '89 fan film. So the actor is a cosplayer, and he bought this full rubber costume. And so, first of all, the inability to turn your head is very baked into that suit, and shockingly makes the performance look very accurate to like the Keaton Batman performance there, because he can't help but kind of move his whole torso when he has to look at anything. But also he couldn't keep his arms raised for very long. He couldn't stay in the suit for very long. We were filming in Richmond, Virginia, and it was fucking freezing at night, and he couldn't keep it on because he was overheating, because this thick rubber suit was so much weight and so much heat on his body that it just wouldn't last for very long. He had to keep taking breaks. And I understand, it was 50 pounds of rubber on him. It's so much.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Poison Ivy, though, she can just move wherever she wants. She's got that. She's not wearing anything, so
yeah.
Yeah, just spandex. Nothing but spandex.
I really love her costume. I think Uma Thurman just looks unreal in this movie, front to back, just so gorgeous.
Yeah. Also, the wig is amazing.
Amazing.
Great hair. I mean, that doesn't always happen. No, Case is laughing at me, but it is true. Sometimes I'm watching stuff and I'm like, why are the wigs trash? I don't understand. I can tell this is terrible.
I agree with you completely. I'll give you a little bit of inside baseball on wigs. So the problem with wigs, and it is a problem that nobody has solved, which is they cost an ungodly amount of money, and they like tens of thousands of dollars to make a decent. The wig I'm most familiar with that I'll tell this story is the Dolores' wig on Westworld. As we went through all of this, and they are so expensive, and there's 3 people in the world that can make them well enough that they don't look like wigs, and the process of getting the actor to the people to get. It's just insane. So the wig pipeline in Hollywood is so crazy and so difficult. And that is a big reason why we see so many bad wigs, is they're just so hard to make and so expensive. And ultimately it becomes a budget. They're so expensive that it becomes a budget problem. Anyway, it is a miracle every time we get a wig as good as Uma Thurman's in this movie, for sure. Daenerys's wigs on Game of Thrones probably cost hundreds of thousands of dollars just to have. and most shows don't have that extra money to spend on hair.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you have to decide whether you want a dragon or a nice wig.
No, but you have stunt wigs that aren't the good wigs. You have you give them bad, because you also if something happens to them, there's no second wig. So they have cheaper stunt wigs that they'll use on stunt doubles, and then they'll put on the actors for scenes that they'll get. It's just crazy. It's so crazy. Anyway, good wigs are miracles. Or they should just stop putting wigs on people. That's the other thing I have a problem with. I'm just like, just use their regular hair, whatever it is. It's better.
Yeah, I think that would also be nice in certain circumstances. I mean, I get it for some where like, oh, the character's supposed to look like this and their hair looks wildly different now. Or like between different movies, for example, or reshoots. And so, you know, I get it. Like,
yeah. Or like the elves, probably like in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits. They gave them like, you know, like a different look, like an otherworldly look. So
yeah. I just want to bring back the years when like you start a new season of a show and they get a new haircut. Like I miss that from the 90s. That was like a thing we would look forward to. It's like, what's Ally McBeal's like hair going to be this season? Or what's Buffy's hair going to be this season? Like I miss that.
This season's look.
Yeah.
You can tell that it's from 99 because Chandler's put on a little bit of weight.
What's Geralt of Rivia's hair going to look like this season? No, it's the same dirty wig.
No, it's the same. Wouldn't you love Geralt to have just like maybe like a little like, I don't know, like braids?
Or like a flock of seagulls kind of thing. Just really mix it up while you're killing those demons. Come on.
Maybe it's just like some pink streaks. Just, you know.
I do want to defend the nipples for a second because I want to. Sorry, I want to circle back to this one because I actually haven't I've been trying to say this part, which is that like I get it going off of this design looking sort of like Greek breastplates kind of stuff like that. I think makes as much sense as anything else in terms of doing these like stylized kind of chess pieces. And like I have listened to people talk about armor that for like women's designs where it's like, oh yeah, they did have those breasts in ones that are not supposed to be worn in combat, like ones that are ceremonial only. And so like I get that those exist and but they shouldn't, like the Batgirl one, for example, is like, yeah, we want to have boobs on this character. And it's like, or counterpoint, she's got a big bat symbol right there anyway. Like maybe don't worry about it so much because like it's going to be weird regardless of how you position it. I don't know. I don't mind it for this movie, like where it's very clearly like the stylized world that they exist in that is very costumey and so forth. Like all of them having those kind of looks makes enough sense. And like Chris O'Donnell's costume, I fucking love in this movie. Like the Robin suit is the Nightwing costume that had just come out at that point. I think that design is great. There's a reason why when they did various reboots, they've made his costume basically just look like this, like with the red version of that look. I think it looks awesome. It doesn't look practical. Nothing in this movie looks practical. Like the Mr. Freeze suit is 100 pounds. Like there are very few people who could wear it. But I think that they all look fine. And if your goal is to have this sort of like this surreal Greek god kind of like aspect to it all works well enough. And we get these like long lingering shots that are a choice, but it's not necessarily a bad choice, but it was a choice that the fandom didn't care for. So like, I get why they didn't like it. I get why if you're coming off of like Batman Returns, where they got away from having molded abs and having like, it's like ridges. So it looks like it's like joints in the armor points. Like if you're trying to go for like, oh, it looks like a real person could wear this and be Batman, that's not this movie. So that's sort of where it goes for me, where it's like, if you're coming from a franchise that had for 2 movies tried to be like sort of, because Tim Burton stuff is camp in its own goth kind of way. Like it's a particular style, but it's not like serious. Like we need to be very clear about that. Like just because it's dark doesn't make it serious.
Yeah.
I agree.
But this movie is stylized in much more of a costumey kind of performance way, which I think if this was a movie by itself, people would be more fine with. But like, I also had to record a thing a week ago where we were making allusions to the Clooney Batman, and we could not stop referencing the bat nipples. So like, I know it just keeps coming up. Like it's hard not to bring it up.
They're iconic. Let's name them and embrace them and embrace the bat nipples.
Well, yeah, I mean, what's interesting now that we're talking about it, I wonder if part of the thinking behind those costumes is what's interesting about this movie is the movie seems kind of about how the blurring lines between who they are as people and who they are as their suited characters, right? So like Poison Ivy, we kind of see her, we see her transformation, and then we watch her kind of like fully become Poison Ivy. Like she gets rid of her old identity and becomes this person. And we're introduced to Batman, not as Bruce Wayne, but as Batman. And I feel like he's got more screen time in his suit in this movie than he does as Bruce Wayne. But like, I wonder if that was part of the thinking, is like, the movie's not about Bruce Wayne versus Batman in like in a way that a lot of other Batman movies are. And so I wonder if, this is probably being very generous, but like, there is this thing of like, they are their suits. They are their costumes in a way that they're not putting them on. They're so it's like who they are. Like, it's like they're being so curated to exactly every every teeny tiny curve of their bodies means that there is no kind of delineation between who they are out of the suit and in the suit.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's real generous of me, but let's go with that.
Yeah. I like it. But it also makes sense. And because the main conflict for Batman in this film is the extension of the Bat family, what he will allow and what he won't allow under his control, and what these two young people that have decided that they are just going to be part of the Bat family are going to allow him to have control over, right? Like, it's very much like the Fast and the Furious movies. It's all about family. And so you have to kind of take a look at that too. So I think that your theory of like, oh, well, the suit is like, because this is who they are becoming the Bat family. Like, not just like these individual people that are like just separated by like their individuality and their identities in the real world, but honestly by this, what is a team of crime fighters.
Yeah, I think that works with some of like the weird spots of like Robin having his own gear. But if you see it as like, this is all like, rather than like we all have the same grappling hook, he has like Robin shaped grappling hooks.
Yeah.
Like, I think that works in that reading of this, where each one of you is contributing to this family but have your own like kind of sub brands, as opposed to being surrogates or not surrogates.
Like acolytes of Batman. Like, just Batman.
Exactly.
His sidekicks.
Yeah.
His sidekicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it's sidekicks, exactly. That's the best word for this. I think that's really strong because, like, and part of that also then supports the toy component. Like, Robin gets his own cool motorcycle, and we've got all these like ice machines and so forth. Like, but it does feel like they're branded specifically for each one of them in a way to like also give them the sense of an individuality in this larger family. Sam, you mentioned the Alfred speech. God damn it, is that a good speech about how, like, what is Batman then trying to like have mastery over death?
Yeah, like, honestly, like the Alfred speech is only second to the Poison Ivy speech. Like, these are the two best speeches possibly in the film, and it's so good. I mean, honestly, this is why you're even more sad that Alfred might die, right? Because him giving this rousing speech and kind of like, guys, come together. What is Batman? And then like, it's like, they may lose this guidance. Like, that kind of helps to like up the ante. I actually think that that's like a really good, like, I just think that's good writing. Like, some of the few, I'm going to give them points for that. Yes. Good job, team.
Yeah.
Yeah, although it's made a little bit weaker by him also uploading his brain to the Bat computer.
Okay, listen, all right, listen. This is a deeply flawed movie.
It's so deeply flawed. I am so curious about, speaking of the writing, the other thing I was so struck by when I watched it is like there's one screenwriter who, he's one of the most successful commercial screenwriters, I would say, of all time, Akiva Goldsman. But it's very interesting to see a huge movie like this with one credited screenwriter. So I am very curious because there are a lot of kind of differing. It doesn't necessarily feel like it was all written by the same person. Like I imagine there were other passes that were taken on the script that weren't credited because the arbitration rules were not what they are now back then. So I'm curious as to whether other people, like, I would love to know. I don't think any of us know or will ever find out, but I would love to know what the script development process was like and how many people kind of like took a stab at that script, because there are some bright moments like that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that it was a rushed production. It was greenlit right off of Batman Forever, and rushed, relatively speaking. every Batman movie up until that point, they had 3 years. This was a 2-year production cycle. So I know that they had to like kind of jump into it. I know that there was a lot of, we'll say editorial mandate, but like Warner Brothers had certain things that they wanted to get into this. They had certain expectations, you know, the usual kind of like the money is interfering with the creative process stuff. And I imagine Schumacher had certain amounts of input into it. So hard to really say, but like, you know, it definitely feels like they tried to get a script together and like probably had those moments that were great and then like didn't get a chance to refine some of the other spots in there. Can I just say that I love the architecture of Gotham City in this movie?
Yes.
Every time they did like a sweeping shot of it, and they love their sweeping shots in this because this is like early CG, and they're like, oh, we can do cities. They don't look that bad. And so like there's like lots of impossible things that kind of look Burton-esque, but those were with miniatures, and now we can do like bigger sweeps. I love all the goddamn statues all over the place. Like the observatory is the coolest fucking building. It's a building being held in the hand of a giant statue, and you have to like go through the statue to get up to the smaller building that is sitting in the hand. Like it's so cool looking.
It's so cool, and the use of neon in this movie is iconic. Like it's like it is so good. Like the street racing scenes are so fun to watch and so cool looking, and like because what's interesting. I just want to talk about the color of the movie for a second because it is so much brighter, and like the Burton movies were very colorful, but very colorful in a very muted way, right? Like the Joker's pale purple was like very muted. Like, it was bright, but it was very muted. And this movie goes kind of just headlong into like the brightest, most neon colors. And I don't know, because maybe you can tell me that I don't know if that level of neon, like I feel like the Batman Beyond comics have more of that than the Batman comics that I've seen. But I really like neon in Gotham City because it really does make it feel like a heightened version of a New York or a Chicago, as opposed to the kind of like the Nolan ones or the Snyder ones where because they grounded them so much, just felt like normal cities. And I really love being in a Gotham that feels larger than life like that, for sure.
Yeah, it has like a cyberpunk vibe to it.
Yeah.
Like, and that I think is really good for Batman, because like Batman is a gadget guy. Like the whole world should feel like the science is a little bit more impossible than what we currently have. You know, he's got a supercomputer is like one of his big ways that he does stuff, and that's been part of the character since the 60s. Like he's got awesome cars that have, you know, fucking flame exhaust and like neon spots on them all. Like, you know, like all of his stuff is all tech based. Like that's one, you know, his superpower is he's rich. So, so he buys the best stuff, but the best stuff has to be better than what we can just conceive of someone who like having, without it being so far into the impossible that it, you know, takes us away from that point. You know, like going all the way to like an Iron Man point, it stops feeling like we could attain this because it would require a certain level of genius and a price tag that like you couldn't save up for it. like people buy the Batmobile.
Yeah, and that is like such an important core element of Batman, right? Is like the feeling that if you had the right level of tragedy and the right amount of money in your life, you could be Batman.
Right.
Like if you had the level of trauma of watching your parents get shot in front of you and were raised by a butler and had unlimited money, you could also be Batman. And like, I think I could be Batman in those circumstances.
Yeah.
It'd be super cool. And the other thing that this movie gives us that is Batgirl, which we're about, and we're about to get our first our only other on-screen Batgirl coming up. But to me, Alicia Silverstone really does it. I know she's not Barbara Gordon, but she really embodies a lot of kind of who Barbara Gordon is to me in terms of who she is in the comics and who she was in the animated series, of like just how self-sufficient and capable and resourceful and smart she is in this movie. And I really like that story of kind of her, the setup of her being like, oh, cool motorcycle, and Chris O'Donnell being like, let me show it to you, and then her stealing it. That is such a great story.
Yeah.
That's such a great story. And it was like one of these first, again, I'm going to go back to Buffy, but it was like, we were starting this really interesting moment in terms of kind of superpowered women, where we were starting to reverse tropes and do these kinds of surprising things with these female characters. And to me, that speaks to the spirit of Barbara Gordon's Batgirl in such a great way. And I hope that some lessons were kind of learned from Alicia Silverstone in this movie, because she was amazing. I think she's an amazing Batgirl.
I think that the choice to have her be Alfred's niece is awkward, but from the standpoint of being Barbara Gordon, or I think it's Barbara Wilson in this movie.
It's Barbara Wilson.
But like being that character, I think that overall works really well. Like the computer expert stuff feels like kind of, in the context of this movie, might feel like a little Mary Sue-ish, but in the context of like the character, no, that's actually like 100% a big part of who she is.
Yeah. And she says like, she's like, I'm going to school for like, I'm in this like very first computer science class, when she is introduced to studying computer science in school. And you're like, oh, that's new. Cool.
Well, because at this point in the comics, this is long past after she's been shot by the Joker and like no longer able to be Batgirl, and has become Oracle, who is all about getting all the information via like sophisticated computer networks. Like 1 year after this, she is actually a member of the JLA as their like secret member who's in their ears pulling up information for everyone. The guy in the chair situation.
She's the guy in the chair.
Literally. Yeah, a little literally in this one.
Yeah.
It's about the time that Birds of Prey gets started, where it's her pulling in female agents that will work as her like eyes on the ground as she like sends off people to like go off missions that she figures out based on her having like amazing detective skills and computer skills. Like that's a very big part of who Barbara Gordon is. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. Yeah.
I think that the being Alfred's niece thing feels more like older versions of Batgirl, like before Barbara Gordon was Batgirl, or like the Batwoman from like the 50s, like Kathy Kane, who was like Bruce Wayne's cousin, like that kind of vibe felt, like it's like, oh, why is she staying here? Like, why is all that stuff? And I get it that like Commissioner Gordon is not a big part of this franchise. Like he exists because he has to, because it's a Batman property, but like he's got like a couple lines in this, like, but it maybe 6 lines total in this whole movie.
Yeah.
And it's the same actor since the 89 one, but he's just not been a big part. I feel like I agree. Alicia Silverstone as Barbara Batgirl, I think, is so good. But at the same time, I'm like, did they try the English accent and just go, nah?
Well, that's interesting. I wonder if they did it because of where Batgirl was in the comics at this point. Like, did they feel like they had to pivot away from Barbara Gordon because of where she was at in the I don't know.
I don't think they'd call her Barbara then.
Yeah. I think they did it specifically because they think that Barbara had name recognition and they wanted to fit into the family trope and have a reason why she would be staying at the mansion. I think that there wasn't much more thought behind that. I think it literally was like, well, we'll name her Barbara because, like, that's how most people know Batgirl's name is. But we'll, like, change her last name and we'll make her related to Alfred instead of Batman. So she's not the other character. So she still kind of can be a Barbara. And then she can still stay at the mansion. Yeah, it works. Oh, that sounds great. Like, I think there was not much more thought behind it but that.
Honestly, that part doesn't stress me out so much, is that they are very explicit that she's from England and she has been going to college in England and that she's like English. And I'm like, just have the sister have moved to the US.
I
don't. Why is it Oxbridge? Why is it why is it an Oxford Cambridge mashup? And very like, what are you doing here from England? He says when she first rolls up. Like,
I don't understand why she couldn't have been from like either coast of America. Like they didn't even have to name a city. They could have just been like, she's coming in from the she's coming from Canada. Would have been more believable.
Use it like I said before. Like you can always like throw in a reference if you want, as long as it's not going to like pull someone out of it. Like if it's as long as it's not a gatekeeping point, you can allude to a thing. That's why we get the joke of like, this is why Superman works alone. It doesn't refer to a specific Superman. Everyone fucking gets it. Woodrue is fine because you don't need to know that much about the character. I didn't realize it was Woodrue at first either. Like it's fine. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's nice. Like, have it be like Coast City, which is like where like Green Lantern is from. Like, no one's going to care.
You're totally right. And I just realized because when I was watching it, I was like so bumped by by Bruce Wayne not having any idea that this person exists. And I was like, wow, like it's actually because like I was like, man, that makes him seem like very callous and like uncaring of Alfred, that he's like lived with this man his entire life and has no idea who any of his family is. Like that seems wrong. And now that we're talking about it, I'm like, that is not some great detective work, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, like, you would think he would know everything about anyone who's around him.
Well, yeah, at one point he's like, calls out like where she's from or like what school she's going to. And it's like, how'd you guess? It's like, it's on your shirt. I'm like, or you just like, know. Like this man who's like a father to you, you know about his like family history and so forth. Or, you know, like she could know Bruce. Like that wouldn't be automatically a problem.
Like you literally could have just been like, I haven't seen you since you were 5 years old. Look at you
exactly.
now. Like,
yeah.
Like it makes sense that Chris O'Donnell would know because like Dick just moved in. Like again, real world time. It's only 2 years later from Batman Forever. It's like I'm not clear on the timeline here, but aside from Batman having time or Bruce Wayne having time to no longer be dating Chase Meridian and having like a serious girlfriend. What is it? Madison? What's the girlfriend in this?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Julie Madison. Aside from that, where it's just like, okay, cool. Bruce absolutely could have known her. Like that would have been totally fine. Like you could have set that part up and it just wouldn't be weird. And again, she could have just been raised in America, but on the other side of the country. So that's why they don't see her very often. So that we don't have to deal with the whole, like, why is she not British?
Yeah. The other thing, speaking of the Bat family.
Why have the line?
It's just completely unnecessary. But it actually, you know, now that we're talking about it, like I do think that another kind of big failing of the movie is Robin and Chris O'Donnell, because he had such a great arc in the prior movie, and the stuff where his story was so iconic in that movie, and they kind of sideline him, I think, a little too much and like he had such a kind of gravitas to him in the prior film that they kind of erase in this movie, and I think they could have leaned into the emotionality of that family a little bit more and the losses that they were all dealing with. But as I'm saying that, I'm realizing this is not that movie. This is not that kind of movie. They're not interested in the family.
Yeah.
This movie does not deal with trauma very well.
It is interesting. It is kind of the only movie, one of the only Batman movies that's not deeply rooted in the kind of psychic traumas of the characters, you know?
Yeah. And the characters that try to have it works to their detriment. Like Mr. Freeze, having this huge traumatic thing, but being portrayed so opposite that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was thinking about a weird part is that the Tim Burton Batman movies, the villains aren't really the big motivator for bad things. Like Batman shows up in the first movie, there's a lot of crime and a lot of crime bosses. And Jack Napier just happens to be like a powerful mobster who gets turned into a supervillain. But like his infrastructure was already in place, like him going crazy, like him going nuclear on it all. That's new, but it's already sins that were already being applied to the city, or like, problems of the city. The second movie is not really about either Penguin or Catwoman being the bad guy. It's Max Schreck, like, Christopher Walken's character, who's like the real bad person there. It's, you know, and you can make an argument with Batman Forever that like Bruce Wayne is like this motivating factor for Riddler. Two Faces less. It doesn't work as well for the Schumacher ones, but for the Burton ones, at least there's a lot of societal problems already in play that Batman is stepping in to sort of like corral. And by this point, again, they're all just like, they're evil for the sake of being evil. They've been transformed into villains. I guess they're villains now. Like we're not dealing with anyone's like inner depths, even though like all these villains in this movie are sympathetic as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We probably should get to pitches, but I do want to like go through a couple weird notes I have just from reading this. At one point, there's a spot where they are working on a computer, and I had to freeze frame it because I was like, what the fuck is that keyboard? Because it is neither QWERTY nor Dvorak. I've never seen this like weird configuration of keys ever. And I'm like, where did you even fucking get this thing? Because it's just like you'd have to like assemble from scratch a keyboard, but I'm like, why would you ever do that? Not just buy a keyboard. Like computers are a thing at this point.
Maybe they dropped it and just glued pieces back together.
They probably did it look like the kind of thing where they were trying to make it look like tech that it like
no, it was a control for the telescope. And I was like, but the keyboard part of it, I was like, but it like I said, it just looked like they took random keys and configured put them into slots without paying attention.
Wow, that's such a nice next key of the entire movie.
Yeah, that's actually exactly it.
Maybe we should someone should make this as a 10 episode miniseries and see what happens. I am really curious what the future of Batgirl is, and it's gonna be there's so many exciting things happening in the Batman universe. We have Michael Keaton coming back. We have Robert Pattinson. We have Batgirl.
Yeah, the brand is strong.
Yeah, this is gonna be Batgirl's gonna kind of be the first story we've had since this movie. I mean, since this movie and oh gosh, I can't remember what the one is called. It's part Batman Forever. No.
Batman Forever is the one before this.
Yes, Batman Forever.
Yes.
Excuse me. Okay. Batman Forever is the only other movie that really deals, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but deals with proteges and Batman having to work with sidekicks. Am I remembering that right?
Like the Snyder stuff has
other
he's dead already kind of thing. Like
right.
The Joker killed Robin, and they have that as like additional trauma for Batman. It's fridging of a character just to motivate the main character, which this fortunately is not doing that.
But it's going to be interesting to see kind of now, now we've talked about kind of what the landscape of the Batman universe, the cinematic universe is like, but it's going to be very interesting to watch the, two Batmans even before George Clooney teaming up with like I'm glad we talked about this kind of before this next wave of Batman movies, because it's going to be really interesting to see kind of where it fits in this kind of long and storied history.
Yeah, like the wave of superhero fiction is so crazy to think about, because like the 89 Batman movie is such like an early part of that driver, or at least like the breath of fresh air. I mean, you go all the way back to like the 60s show. Like the 60s show started because they were showing serials from the 40s Batman, like movie serials at the Playboy Mansion, and
really
all the people there just like broke down laughing because it was so silly, and they're like, fuck, we could make this a show. And that's like, that really saved Batman, because before that Batman was like kind of a non-character. Like he sold successfully enough as a comic book character, but they could never get him to have a successful radio show. They tried so many pilots for it that just never took off and didn't really work. He had crossovers with Superman on his radio show, didn't lead to a spinoff, even though they kept trying to do it. It was the 66 Batman show that like brought him into public consciousness. And again, like characters like Mr. Freeze, that became canonized as a result of that. Like there's a lot of that went into people understanding it. Then you flash forward a decade, we get the 70s Superman stuff, we get the Wonder Woman TV show, you get to the early 80s where you get things like Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger being like adapted from nerd properties in general. Like Conan at this point, like has, he started off as Pulp Fiction, but had also had like long running comic book series. But there's like, all this like kind of nerd stuff and like this wave of Hollywood going on, being like, oh yeah, we can talk about stuff like Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers kind of stuff in the form of Star Wars. So we can talk about like seeking out in like hidden temple, like Tarzan or Doc Savage stuff in the form of like Indiana Jones. And then you get the 89 Batman movie, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we can do all the things that we like to do with like making money in a movie, but also sell toys, and we can put it all together. And like, you get 89 Batman movie, you get like 3 years later, you get Batman Returns. 3 years later, you get Batman Forever. 2 years later, you get this. The following year, you get Blade. Then,
wow.
It's the trifecta of Blade, X-Men, and Spider-Man. People see as sort of like the sequence that like made the comic book movie wave go. But like, mid 2000s, I remember people thinking like, oh, is it over? Is it about to be done? Like Spider-Man 3 came out and we're like, oh yeah, I guess it's done. Like, Daredevil was pretty bad with Ben Affleck. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Okay.
And on. Kevin Feige was, hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly. And then we had fucking 13 years of that at this point? Like, or 14 years of that at this point. Like, 2008. So.
Oh yeah. No, it's absolutely no signs of slowing down.
Right, but there's like this moment of being like, okay, now we've had the pandemic, we've had all this stuff. Are we like inhaling and we're about to like start singing again all the Batman stuff, like, or all the superhero stuff?
I actually have a question. I'm curious from your guys' perspective as fans of like, we don't know a lot about the Batman yet. We've seen the trailers. It's a very, very kind of very specific, very cool orange gray color palette that Matt Reeves is doing. That looks great. And obviously very much from what we know is like very much in kind of the like ultra grounded tradition of like, he's going to have a utilitarian suit, like everything we're going to have kind of logical explanations behind how he does everything or why, But my question is, do you guys feel, having rewatched this movie in kind of the wake of like all of, of the Bale Batman and Batfleck and now Robert Pattinson, do you feel like there is room in the Batman universe for the kind of kitsch and brightness of the Schumacher films or of the early of like the Adam West Batman? Is that aspect of Batman gone? Like, are we not going to go back to that again?
I think if it's going to be a movie, it probably needs to be animated, because like Lego Batman, I think fits more of this vibe.
Right.
And like there was the great series Batman Brave and the Bold, which was a cartoon series that has more of like this kind of a vibe to it that like is having its like second wave of nostalgia as people are like discovering it after it was sort of like written off as like a kid's show for a while. I think that people have an easier time accepting kind of silly in an animated setting, and so maybe that's sort of where it's gonna kind of live, because like the movies, people like the other animal that we haven't talked about is like the video games. Like the video games have gotten so big, like things like the Arkham Origins stuff, or Arkham Asylum.
That's true.
Like those are huge. Yeah, the Telltale games too, but just video game audiences in general are way bigger than comic book audiences.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that those vibes are informing how people want to see him on the big screen, because like that's such a huge audience that they have to sort of appeal to, and those games are like dark, gritty, serious kind of like takes on the character. Everyone has like way too many scars and extra like stitch lines on their costumes, and it's like all like look how real this is, look how gritty this is.
Yeah, which honestly, all of this makes me very sad to hear. I know that it's true, and I agree with you, but I in an ideal world, I would pray and hope that there's room for bat repellent spray in Batman always. Like, you know what I mean? I
do. I totally do.
I actually feel tired. I feel tired of the same dark, brooding Batman over and over and over again. And I feel like we keep doing it. And but it's fine because I can just watch the Adam West movie and I'll just stick to my camp.
Yeah, it's such an interesting, I have to agree, and I am scared to say that because having told one to two Batman fans that I am not like overly excited about the Batman, I recognize what that sounds like to the Batman fandom, so I don't want to go there. But it's interesting. It's like and I think no one can deny that the Snyder movies were not super successful in terms of his characterization of Batman, and like they were a little bit of a bummer. And so, but like, is it, and they were obviously had the kind of like epically disastrous course correction with Justice League of trying to like make it a little bit more like the Marvel movies and inject that kind of humor in it, and obviously like that. And then we had the Snyder Cut and all of those things. But there is a sense of like, on the one hand, what Casey said is so fascinating, which is you have the pull of the video game audience. And on the other hand, you have kind of the pull of the Marvel movies. And it feels like what they got through when they got kind of out the other end of the Snyder Cut of Justice League is maybe what they realized is like, okay, we're not going to be able to infuse the kind of like family friendliness of the Marvel movies into the DCU as it stands now. Maybe maybe we're going to focus on the kind of even more grounded, more gritty video game. Does that seem right?
Yeah,
to you?
I think there's a niche for it. Like there's so much media now. Like everyone has access to everything all the time now. Like we all can actually watch the Batman 66 stuff, or we can watch the animated series, or if you don't like superhero stuff, you don't have to watch it. Like there's so much material out there that I think it makes sense to generally like play to an audience that's going to pay money for it. But I think that goofy stuff will work, or goofy might sound dismissive, like a more fun, silly kind of take on it works if people are approaching it from the lens of like, this is what I'm here for. Like Batman 66 had a comic book that came out that was pretty successful that people really enjoyed. I really like it, where it's like all done in the style of the 66 stuff. Before Adam West died, he did 2 animated movies that set in that continuity, and that was really successful. So I think that there is a place for it, but people have to like have the lens that they're going to approach it from. And the big tentpole movie ones, you kind of just have to appeal to the largest audience's expectations for the character. And that right now is in that like particular lens of like, Batman's so real and gritty. And with prep time, he can do anything,
That's great. That's so astute.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you on everything you said. It just makes me sad. Like that was my only comment. Like you're right on, and you're absolutely correct in like the fact of where the market is for Batman, and my conflicted feelings about all gray movies, and That's fine. That's just more Shazam for me. Okay. Like that's where I sit. Okay. That is where I sit. Give me Birds of Prey, give me Harley Quinn, give me Shazam, give me all the stuff with humor and color. That's where I sit. That's where I'm going to have fun.
But I think that's the right difference right there, though. Birds of Prey versus Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn, everyone loves because they're approaching it as a cartoon. It's not that different from Birds of Prey, but Birds of Prey was not that successful. That's the juxtaposition right there. I think that they both are like, I love Birds of Prey. I think it's great. We spent 2 hours on the show trying to convince someone who hated it that it was great.
Because it's great, and they're wrong. They're great. Still wrong.
But I think audiences were looking at it as being like, oh, this is a movie that's in the same world of like a Snyder Cut and the Suicide Squad and all that stuff. And like, or I shouldn't say the Suicide Squad, like, versus the cartoon, everyone's like, fuck yeah. Everyone was here for it. And like, generally people love it. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah. Which, by the way, this is not like an important thing, but I just want to say again, I've said it before, that the Bane in the Harley Quinn animated series is my favorite Bane.
Oh, it's so good.
I really don't care.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you have to watch Harley Quinn. It's so good.
Okay, it's on my, like, I was just telling Case before you got on, Sam, that we can talk about this when we're done. This is not podcasty stuff.
Okay.
But okay.
Yeah, we'll put a plug in that, and actually, we should probably talk about stuff on our network.
Yeah, we should put a plug here.
Yeah, we should put an actual plug here.
Because we've been running for an hour and a half. We should actually plug one of the shows on our network. And when we come back, we'll speculate on how this movie could have been more successful at the time of production.
Man, that movie was excellent.
It really was. Totally blew my expectations away.
I know, right? Now I really want to tell everyone about it. But I'm not sure how.
Yeah. If only there was a podcast dedicated to reviewing films and discussing the latest news and trailers on upcoming films. That would be nice.
Yes, for sure. And we can call it The Cineguy Show.
What? No. It will be called Real Movie Critic Unleashed.
No. How about Cineguy featuring Real Movie Critic?
How about the Real Movie Critic and his sidekick, the Cineguy?
CG and RMC.
RMC and CG.
The Real Movie Critic versus the Cineguy. Only at CertainPOV.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're going down, critic.
Bring it on, guy.
And we're back. So we've been both gushing and like kvetching about this movie in big circles for an hour and a half of recording time. I don't know what it's going to edit down to, but I think ultimately the movie is constantly on like lists of worst comic book movies of all time. So like we can't argue that it's not successful as a movie in the window where it came out. And like I've said, a lot of that was just failing to read the room, but it's bloated. There's a lot of stuff going on with it that's like too much. There's a lot of big characters on both the villains and the hero side. There's a lot of plots. Let's speculate a bit on how we could make this have been a more successful movie, both commercially and actually just as a movie. So I am not allowed to go before Sam. Jacey, you are our guest. Would you like to go first, or should Sam go?
I have a very easy answer. Less spirit.
All right.
Everyone on this movie needed their drugs taken away from them and their alcohol taken away from them, and then it would have been a lot better. No, I really do think there are the filmmakers behind this movie, I think, have made subsequent movies and other movies that have similar problems, which is just like a level of excitement about everything and just a lack of focus and clarity and a kind of lack of interesting kind of character journeys and character turns. And I think ultimately what makes Batman, the thing that I think really makes a successful Batman movie, and, we'll put the Dark Knight as at the kind of the top of this, is that the villain and Batman had equally interesting and dynamic character journeys. And that doesn't happen in this movie. So I can't even really tell you what Bruce Wayne's arc is in this movie. So if I was going to fix it, I would start there and do a Bruce Wayne pass and make sure that he feels a lot more integral and have a story of his own in this movie.
What about Julie Madison, his romantic interest that disappears 2/3 of the way into the movie? Would you keep her all the way through, or would you just cut her? Because
it's so funny. I was watching her introduction scene and the scene where Bruce, again, it's the scene where he's accosted by Poison Ivy, but she basically, I can't remember what she said. She's like, we're in love or whatever. I thought in my head that the way that scene ends is like him basically saying, thank you, I'll send you your check. As in like, this is a woman that he's like paid to do this. But that didn't happen. So like, I that's what I would have done.
Yeah, she reads like his beard. There's like a lot of people have talked about it where it's like, is he a gay man and this is like his cover, or is he just Batman and this is his cover? But like, regardless, that's how it feels.
He projected like Christian Bale and the ballerina like onto this story in Batman Begins when he's got like a ballerina girlfriend, and it's like very obviously a smokescreen.
Yeah.
For just for to hide like I'm on a yacht with a ballerina instead of being Batman. And so I really thought that's what that story was. And I was like, oh, I got that wrong. So that's definitely something I would have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that character should only exist. I feel like that character should only exist either to have like some pivot to him being obsessed with Ivy, or if it had continued to be Nicole Kidman from the previous movie. So at least there's some continuity going to the relationship, because as it is, it's like, I think they have 3 scenes together. Maybe it's only 2. I can't actually remember now. And it's just like such an aborted plot that would have, I don't know. There's a lot going on. Like as a new character, I would just cut her because like, no, we don't need this. There's too many things. Yeah, I think that's really fair. I mean, like, we keep saying that like, there's just so much going on. We need to like restrain some of this. We need to give some of the characters some actual pathos. But yeah, I think like having a focus on like, does each character feel like they're in a different place from where they started at the end of the movie is a good focus there. You know, there's so much stuff that's going on at this movie that it's that we bounce back and forth between A plots and other A plots and B plots. And, you know, by the time we get to the end of the movie, like, it doesn't feel like all that much has changed, even though a lot has. Like, you know, Bruce has learned to like work as a team with all of them. Barbara knows their secrets and is now, you know, come into the family. You know, Dick has like overcome pheromones to like actually trust Bruce. Like, those all occur, but it you know, it just gets so muddied.
Yeah.
It gets so muddied in the neon.
Yeah.
Maybe, as much as I love the neon, maybe a little less neon.
Sam, how about you?
Yeah, I have a very similar approach, because my biggest issue, besides the puns, was, which I would definitely pull back on. Like, I would be like, okay, 50% of these puns need to go. You can have, we have to choose where we're going to have them. It's like an F word. You got to choose your moments.
Yeah,
here,
you get 3.
You get 3 one-liners, okay? 3, and you got to make them count. So I would definitely do that. But I think the biggest issue in this film is that it's a Batman movie with a very weak script for Batman. And the overarching arc or the theme of this movie is supposed to be family, right? It's supposed to be like, how does this man who's a lifelong bachelor who's taken on this ward, like, really incorporate him and others into his life while facing all of this stuff? And honestly, at the end, like, there's like a couple of throwaway lines where he's like, okay, we trust each other now. Great. But there's no real journey to like really get there, because they spend so much of the time, he and Robin, just arguing, but never really coming to places where like you can see that they see eye to eye. So I feel like this is like the biggest problem. And I think like there needs to be, for Robin, this feeling, which it very easily could have been written in, you know, this feeling of like, I'm here and I want to feel accepted. Like, I'm here as a partner, that I'm not just someone that you're letting just sleep on your couch and kind of help you out because I helped you out. Like, I want to feel like I'm part of this. And then Batman still having a hard time because his protective nature is coming out, but because he's never really had to say that to anyone, like, I'm protecting you like I would protect family, because he hasn't fucking had a family except for Alfred. So he doesn't have to, like, he's not good at expressing that. You give him, like, the ability to kind of say that. And with his girlfriend, fuck, you can leave her in, but have her really break up with him and have her point out the issue of, like, you close people out. You don't talk to them. Like, you have this kid living here. You barely talk to him. You don't talk to me. We've been together for 2 years. Is this going somewhere? I don't think it is. I'm in love with you. Are you in love with me? And he's like, yeah, I don't feel that. Goodbye, Bruce. And, like, it's just pointing out his flaws. So that way he's, like, kind of still at rock bottom, right? Like, he's like, fuck, like, this, I can't talk to this fucking kid. Alfred's dying. He's the only person I can actually talk to. Now I've got this other kid who's just come here, like, from Coast City, not... or fucking Metropolis. I don't care. Pick a city. Make it Toronto. I don't care. Just anywhere without a British accent. And she's come here and she's snooping about, and I don't like that. And have it be about his boundaries and, like, the fact that he can't let go and he can't let people in, and let him have the arc of letting Robin in for real, which I think they were trying to do, but this movie doesn't accomplish that. Like, you never get to the point that you really feel like he's actually doing it. And you don't feel like Robin is actually trying to get in. You just feel like Robin is challenging him. And I would have liked to see more of a person who's pleading to be part of the team, you know, like pleading to really be let in. Like, yeah, you let me go on with your missions, but you won't tell me, like, the actual plan all the time, or you only give me my part of the plan, or you, so, like, the arguments are not enough. And, like, I actually thought it was kind of creepy that they were fighting over, like, Poison Ivy the way that they were, like, the kind of competition they were. Like, it felt less like father and son and more like just two dudes that hang out with each other. And so, like, I felt like that aspect of the script really needs to be fixed for this movie to work. Their relationship specifically was one of the biggest failings of this script, because, you know, Poison Ivy has a journey, whether or not you like everything that Schwarzenegger did with Mr. Freeze. Freeze has a journey. Batgirl has a journey, even if she's not British. And and you know, Alfred, in his own way, he's got a sentimental journey because he's thinking that he has to let go, and he's seeing the family in turmoil. And the biggest problem is that Bruce and, you know, that you've got Batman and Robin not really having a true conflict that truly resolves in a actual good and realistic way. It's just that they get along. Although I do condone the lip condoms because that's hilarious. Okay. So
yeah, that part was a fun workaround there, so we can do a kiss that's supposed to be poisonous. I like that.
That was funny. It felt very Adam West. I'm with it. I'm good on that front.
Sam, I think you make a great point, especially because the movie is called Batman and Robin.
Right.
Like the elevation to them being partners as opposed to Batman with sidekicks, I think would be great. It is difficult with Batgirl in there too, but I think the fact that she comes in so late, that, you know, the resolution of them as a team, that should be like the break into 3. Like they should have a schism somewhere in Act 2, and it's like only when they come back together and are able to work together one-on-one, and it's not a superiority scenario. Like, Robin is not a subordinate. That's the word I was looking for before.
Right. Yeah, he's got to be, he needs to feel like family. He needs to feel like a partner. This, like, he's the subordinate in Batman Forever. He should be an award there. He should be raising now to that. And you can still have wonderful moments with him and Batgirl because they can both relate on some level, right, in this whole family dynamic, because Batgirl is losing her uncle and Robin lost his family and he's barely holding on to the person who took him in. And so you can have a really nice bonding between the two of them.
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you can have I read a lot. And you can have a really nice bonding between the two of them, so that this carries this idea of, like, you know, and even so, like, even in that final act when Batgirl joins them, right? Batman could be like, wait, no, like, because I just accepted you, like, my partner, like, who's this person? And Robin can vouch for her. And then Batman accepting her is because he trusts Robin enough to trust his judgment. And then you've got like a beautiful storyline that actually involves family and trust, and like really hold on to the spirit of Alfred's wonderful computer face speech that I think would have sold the movie in a much like, just a better supportive way. I mean, again, the puns need to be cut down, but I think in general, even if the puns stayed there because Schwarzenegger insisted, it still would have been a better movie had you fixed Batman and Robin's relationship.
Yeah, I think that these are all strong points about the thematic elements of the movie that just don't get there. Again, it's called Batman and Robin, and like we open with them being Batman and Robin complaining about it being Batman and Robin and never Robin and Batman. And it's like, that should be more of a point you get to at the end, like where yeah, we are, or have it circle around being like, I'm proud to be Batman and Robin. Like, yeah, or have him be like, yeah, let's do this. Batman and Robin. Like, yeah, Dick, let's do this. Some moment there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that I was like focusing on for where I was thinking like we could use some refinement was the amount of clutter, the amount of stuff in this movie, without it being very focused. Again, like I kept on coming back to being like, wait, Mr. Freeze is kind of he's not in the right per se, but he's such a tragic villain that seems like so weird to have him be like your main bad guy without it being like, oh, forces at work are like pushing him too far. Because the honest solution at the end is Batman's like, how about I just give you money? And that's it.
Yeah.
that's the end solution there. And the stuff with Poison Ivy, again, isn't she kind of right? I mean, she's like she's very cavalier about it all, where it's just like, oh, well, it's acceptable losses if people die in the name of like saving Mother Earth. And like, it sounds, very like over the top, like cartoonishly villain stance on like ecological activism, like, but it's not wrong. And like, we know that it's even less wrong now than it was then, but like, this is post Captain Planet. Like, we were all like aware that like things could go bad if we do bad stuff to the planet.
Yeah.
Like,
and honestly, Poison Ivy is heart. Go on.
Yeah. Well, and the other part is that it's weird that Poison Ivy decides to use Mr. Freeze the way she does, because it's like, wouldn't Mr. Freeze freezing a lot of stuff not be good for plants?
Yeah.
Unless we were going to actually use the phrase global warming.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
I is a thing that I think should be
plants,
there.
That's so funny. Sorry.
Like what, like where is she trying to go with this? She's like, oh, I will have my friends, the Pines. They will be my companions in life. And then there's Bane. And Bane is just like there because he's a name and like it's useful to have a big tough guy. But I think that it's too much of a disservice to the character in terms of like where he was in terms of popularity at the time.
Yeah.
And it's distracting because he's such a big character, at least of the era. Like if you used him in a movie now, less so, but people want to see it, and people were frustrated that they didn't get like a Bane that like had the characterization down. Like they're, like the Tom Hardy one from the Dark Knight Rises is less accurate from the standpoint of being like, oh, he's got a steroid that he takes to become a big tough guy part of it, but he's got the intelligent vibe down.
Yeah.
He's also a henchman, but it's, like generally people are like a little bit warmer to that character as a result. Like Bane's just too big of a character for the role he's in this movie.
Yeah.
So my thought is, first of all, Mr. Freeze stealing diamonds to keep his wife alive. Like, why is he stealing like the whole thing is his tech is based on that, and the cryogenic suspense is like failing soon. So like stealing diamonds to keep his wife alive. I think that's why he's out there and he's operating the way he does. So keep him sort of in that position, cut down on the amount of lines that are like jokes. Sure. They got Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's great. Like, have him play more of like a Terminator type character where it's just very stoic about the whole thing. But, like make that sort of the focus there. I would think now I like, again, the Woodrue stuff, and I like that Bane is integrated well, but I think we need to have like a manipulator type character here that is different than these ones here. Like we need a bad capitalist, like flat out. Like we need someone who, like, Woodrue pulling the strings would be good. So my thought is, all right, so Woodrue, as much of a fun reference as it is, and like I love John Glover in the part, I'm happier to have John Glover than I am to have a Woodrue reference. And again, the Bane stuff we should just like sort of move away from, because I think that's just too many things. And the Bane stuff is why we're like in like a South American kind of like prison setup, because that's part of his backstory. So I'm going to propose that instead it is the villain Roland Desmond, who is better known as Blockbuster in the comics. He has a brother who was the first subject of this steroid that turned him into Blockbuster, which is like this Hulk type character. It's like a thing that activates the pituitary gland. He gets big and strong and scary and so forth. And Blockbuster 1 was Mark Desmond, his brother, who he like manipulated into taking this drug. And then later he took it thinking that he had overcome the thing that made him dumb. Didn't work. Yeah. But this lines up perfectly in the comics where they changed him from being just a dumb brute to being a manipulator. And it doesn't even matter for this movie, but like that's where they were going at that point. The Nightwing stuff actually is important because he became Nightwing's like kingpin effectively. And I think that, this is the era of that design. So it matches up timeline wise. So I think have this character who's basically funding research on drugs, same way as Woodrue is sort of working here, but he's not the actual scientist part of it. His brother's working on one. That's the Blockbuster formula. That's how we get the same big, dumb brute character who's of a lower profile. So it's not a big deal for him just to be a henchman. And how we also get to Pamela Isley in sort of the same situation. He says that I'm not actually the one pushing this. I'm actually just a subsidiary of Wayne Corp or Wayne Tech or whatever, or Wayne Industries. And she points Poison Ivy at Bruce Wayne as opposed to her killing him and then just being like, oh, Bruce Wayne. So she's misguided in terms of where her vengeance is applied. So she goes into it. She's got this whole, like I say, make global warming the thing she keeps talking about. And that points her to Mr. Freeze and wants to utilize that to fight global warming like Snowpiercer style. Like,
wow.
So we can still get to the same like big like third act where we've got all the satellites and so forth. And the goal is that he's going to use this freeze ray on all the satellites and turn the whole planet into ice. And maybe like the people don't freeze so that we get that weird 11-minute until they die kind of component. Maybe he's just freezing everything in general, or like making everything cold to combat global warming. Again, this also allows us to have a third act villain because like after Blockbuster could be handled, like Roland Desmond could take the drug and turn into your villain, your super shredder for the end of the movie. Like the fight to have with this character, he could look like the recently updated version of the character where he's like bald, but with like big mutton chops and like long, like back hair, whatever the term is when your top of your head is bald, but you still have the hair on the back. But he could be a big villain character for them to fight. Maybe Mr. Freeze or Ivy sides with them in this whole situation because while they've done wrong, like they both have good motives. like focus on that thing. Like Mr. Freeze can go on his rampage and agree to freeze the planet because he thinks his wife is dead, but that was his whole driver for being a criminal, as opposed to it was a thing that happened to be on the side while he was being a criminal. Like we could work with those scenarios. I think that a lot of the neon could be a little more focused if it was designed to look like previous supervillain stuff, like the bike race where there's all these people in weird costumes when they go into that one where Ivy sets up her lair, has like all these like weird like black light kind of like paint characters. I think they should all look like henchmen for other villains. Like the Riddler might be in Arkham, but there's no reason to believe his gang is gone. Two-Face might be dead, but there's no reason to think his gang is gone. Joker might be dead, but there's no reason to think his gang is gone. So you could have like that. You could have the circus gang from Batman Returns. Like you could have lots of these crazy things in the background as opposed to generic crazy things. Like have it feel like the Batman world. Because we get a shot where they go through like the store closet of everyone's stuff and you see like the Joker's or the Riddler suit and stuff like that. I think just play that up even more. Like have all the background figures feel like henchmen from different Batman villains and make that whole gang thing.
That
like
would be super cool.
Yeah, like sure, it'd be a little Venture Brothers or a little Harley Quinn, but I think that that's really cool and it would make it feel like a fun, big, crazy universe that they live in.
Yeah.
As opposed to like everything's so weird but without reason. Like it at least gives like some structure to it all. So yeah, like make an evil capitalist that's pushing global warming, the actual villain, so that Poison Ivy feels like an eco-terrorist maybe she's trying to kill her old boss or something like that. And then he points her to Wayne, so she like goes after Wayne for a bit. But like give her a motive that is like a thing that she actually has to deal with throughout the movie. And likewise can then like push Freeze into that same position and then have her like big, strong, dumb muscle guy be a less important character who's still there for all the things you need him for.
Yeah. Because that could really be any character, to be honest with you. They could have just given her a big, strong muscle guy and named him something else and created a whole other big, strong muscle guy.
Totally.
Yeah, like Ivy's had characters like that before. If it has to be a different villain for the sake of it, like I also like had a note being like, what if it was Killer Croc? Like, doesn't matter.
Oh, that would have been so cool.
Yeah, like also biological kind of character.
He was designed just for the animated series, right?
I don't remember if he came out first for the animated or not, but like
he's my favorite villain from the animated series because he throws big rocks.
Like he was in the comics at that point because he at least
he was okay.
He may have come for the animated series first, but in the comics he was like his defeat by Bane was what signaled Bane was there. Where it's like, who could do this to Killer Croc? And then they did that also in the Bane story on the show. So I don't know the sequence on that. I feel like he probably showed up in the comics first, but regardless, like, like also a fun character. Again, I mentioned Blockbuster, Amygdala. There's lots of like big, strong, dumb Batman villains who are not frontliners. Like Bane can lead, maybe not by himself a movie, but he's like a bigger villain than just like a henchman.
Yeah.
So just like pull him back on that one. And like I said, give like a bigger structure of villainy for them to sort of be butting up against, as opposed to just like, because like Batman could solve all of this just by like being like, I'm going to give you some money for all of them. And like that would have solved the whole situation. He kind of almost does give Poison Ivy $7 million at one point in this movie. And I keep on thinking like, did he swipe the card? Like, does she just have $7 million from Batman? Like, is that how she's funding her whole criminal enterprise? Maybe. But yeah, like that's sort of what I'd like to do with this movie. It's like there's so much going on that all we're talking about is really like you just need to like cut some stuff and like sort of shape it into like something a little bit more streamlined than the Jackson Pollock of a movie that it is.
But it's colorful and it's got nipples. So
yeah, but you know.
What more do you need?
I wouldn't cut those for this movie. Like Schumacher had no idea that it was going to be taken so early, so I don't think anyone would have really gotten them out like at the time of production.
No,
like,
leave them in.
Backlash. Yeah,
embrace the nipples.
And I think if it was a stronger movie, people would be fine with it. So, or they could live with it at least.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts on this one. We rambled for a while about Batman. So. But we should ramble for at least a moment about you, Jacey. Like we got right into this at the start of.
They were like, "Who the fuck is this girl? Why should I care at all what she thinks?" You shouldn't. I don't have any reason. I just am very happy to be here talking about.
No, that's not true. Come on now. Who are like? What do you do? Like, what are you professionally?
Yeah, so I'm a TV writer out here in LA. I work for a show that, is actually not dissimilar to Batman. There are capes and there are headpieces and there is the transformational power of trauma. It's called The Handmaid's Tale. So definitely the same.
Totally the same. Absolutely.
Totally the same. No, but I'm a TV writer. I work right now I'm on the show called The Handmaid's Tale. And that's my big claim to fame, I suppose. But I worked on, like I said, I worked for Jonathan Nolan, so I worked on a show called Person of Interest. I worked on Westworld, and I have some stuff of my own that may or may not be happening at some point somewhere. But yeah, that's me. I write the words that sometimes you see on the TV.
Awesome. And if people wanted to find you, like,
oh yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Jacey Heldrich. But that's pretty much the only one I'm active on. I'm on TikTok and I am obsessed with it, but I don't make any content, so I can't send you there. But I am there, and I probably see you guys on there too, listeners, because I'm on there a lot. But yeah, at Jacey Heldrich on Twitter, and you can check out seasons 1 through 4 of The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, and we are about to go into production on season 5, so that'll be coming out, I think, sometime late summer, if it happens. It's very hard to shoot a television show during COVID, in case you were wondering. It is really hard. But at some point it'll come out.
Well, people should go and check that out. If they haven't watched The Handmaid's Tale, they should absolutely, because it's a huge cultural phenomenon.
If you like dark dramas, man, here's one.
Yeah, if you don't want big, bright, colorful, crazy, and you want something darker and grittier and a little too realistic, unfortunately.
Yeah. Just you can go see the Batman and then go watch The Handmaid's Tale and just live in the cynicism.
But when you're ready to escape from the cynicism, you should head on over to certainpov.com, where you can find more episodes of this show and tons of other great shows. You can find a link to our Discord server where you can talk to us directly. If you don't want to do that and you just want to find us online, Sam, where can they find you?
They can find me here, and they can find me on our Discord and nowhere else, because I live in the shadows of Case's mind. That's it.
Yes, you're a hallucination of mine because of the Venom trip that I take every time when I need to be big and strong.
I'm the host this show needs, but not the one it deserves. Did I get that right? I can't even remember. So, but if you have any complaints about my dislike of the darkness of Batman and my sadness of losing camp in Batman, you can find Case at...
you can find me on Twitter at Case Aiken. You can find the show itself at Another Pass. Again, we are doing this as part of our
Dark Knight Fortnite,
our celebration of the Batman coming out. So check out the other shows at certainpov.com, where there's just a ton of Batman content. Like, I know that Matt and Jeff are going to be talking about Batman video games over on Fun and Games. Hans and Steven are actually the real spearheads of this. So over on the Real Movie Critic versus the Cine Guy, they've got a ton of Batman stuff. They've been doing Batman countdowns. I actually played George Clooney Batman in one of their like fight night battles, where I had to say the phrase "bat nipples" a lot for my recording.
Nice.
Embrace it, like the dark side.
But everyone's doing it. Like Books That Burn, we're looking into prose books about Batman, like tons of Batman content. So if you like The Dark Knight and you feel like checking out some podcasts this week and next week, head on over to certainpov.com. Next time, we will not be talking about Batman stuff. Sam, what are we talking about next time?
Next time on Another Pass, we'll be talking about Highlander 2, The Quickening. But until then, if you enjoyed this, pass it on.
Thanks for listening to Certain Point of View's Another Pass podcast. Don't miss an episode. Just subscribe and review the show on iTunes. Just go to certainpov.com.
Another Pass is a Certain POV production. Our hosts are Sam Alicea and Case Aiken. The show is edited by Matt Storm. Our logo and episode art is by Case Aiken. Our intro theme is by Vin Macri, and our outro theme is by Matt Brogan.
I keep hearing about stuff with like art during the 1918 pandemic, and like how like there's just so much stuff that like kind of just like skips that year. And then,
really?
like no one wanted to talk about it. Everyone was just like, okay, like we're moving on.
I feel like that's the same. It's like, well, what I've noticed is like people really don't like. Well, they don't like the worst thing you can do is address the pandemic and just be like, thank God that's over with. People really hate that on screen. Like Sex and the City is doing that. Mm-hmm. Or you can like put it like, or you can just not, if you don't mention it at all, that's like better. But like, no, the TV show You did it, I think, the best so far of addressing COVID. But like, it's definitely like a weird thing that like, and like all, like everyone out here is like, you know, I've got these things I'm working on and people are like, well, how are you going to address COVID? You're like, well, I don't know. It's not over yet.
This March, get ready for 2 weeks of The Bat, 2 weeks of Vengeance, 2 weeks of The Dark Knight Fortnite.
But in the meantime, ads.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for everything you do. So sorry we're rambling in this one. Hope you're enjoying the rambling.
Yeah, we got
that's my
right
fault.
into
Sorry.
it. Like
this is just how I have two modes. I have like, I'm not talking, and this is how much I'm talking.
We didn't even like we talked like a minute about how we know each other. We didn't even give you a chance to plug anything.
Yeah, we've had no structure in this. We're usually much better at this. I'm gonna blame.
No, it's all my fault. I blame myself.
No, I'm blaming my godson. It's fine. He's not here. He can't defend himself.
Blame the 12-year-old.
Exactly.
Blame the child.
Exactly.
Hey, all you amazing sentient beings. This is Case Aiken from Certain POV, and outside of podcasting, I work with a group that does Star Trek fan films called Starship Farragut. For 15 years, we've been doing material inspired by the original Star Trek series, but now we're moving on to the movie era with our latest production, Farragut Forward. And that means new sets, new props, and we're going to have to make those monster maroon uniforms. So we have a crowdfunder running right now. Backers can get access to our soundtracks, have their names show up on screen as part of a duty roster, or even get a walk-on role. Our hope is that this is just the beginning, and that the assets we create with the money we raise will go towards future productions, including possibly a sequel that may just be written by a certain scruffy, nerf-hurting Man of Steel who will take another pass at it. Wink, wink. To back the production, go to Indiegogo and look up Farragut Forward, or find us on Twitter at Farragut1921. And hey, while you're at it, check out the 3-minute prologue we put together to show what we can do. But in the meantime, live long and prosper.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.